Ladies, gentlemen, and fellow athletes, thank you all for coming today. They say that doing a speech is like going to a nudist beach. The first few minutes are always the hardest. Last time I gave a speech was to the West of Scotland Annual Convention for Drug Users, Gay and Lesbian, Transgender and Transsexuals. So it's nice to see so many familiar faces. I promise to keep this speech short because in the throat, it's not sore, it's just that Carol's trying to cut it for the most of that. I feel I'm slightly on trial here today because Leanne has told me if I do a good job I can do it all again at next wedding. Actually, it isn't very beautiful. Let's hear it for Leanne. She's definitely the most beautiful thing here today. Let me say how lucky you are, Simon, that you leave here today with a wife who's warm and loving and caring. A wife who's funny and radiates beauty wherever she goes. And Leanne, how lucky you are. You're leaving today having gained a gorgeous dress. Doesn't time fly? Carol was just saying this morning, it only seems like yesterday that Leanne was going to bed with a dummy. Seeing you here today, it takes me back to when I met the love of my life. That first eye contact, that first kiss, oh, and the butterflies. And of course, it wasn't long after that I met your mum. Well, she finally made it. We were starting to think we would never see this day. As years went by, we began to think Leanne getting married was a lost cause. And then Simon came along and we realised he had a lot of experience for lost causes. We found out he was a season ticket Ibrox. I'm conscious that Leanne is sitting here in fear and trepidation about what I'm about to say. Like the embarrassing tales I might tell you about her younger years. Binge drinking, the drugs, the knocks on the door from the police in the middle of the night, not to mention that second asbo. Well, she doesn't need to worry, I'm not going to do any of that today. Even though it does leave me a bit short of material. Don't worry over there, I'm only joking, it's only one asbo. Being her dad, I've seen her throw up, wet herself, crawling on the floor covered in vomit. What an 18 fucking month. Leanne was always a very generous soul. Right back to when she was a small child, she would gladly share the contents of her potty with whoever was passing. We all get used to it after a while though, I'm not sure the postman ever did. Leanne certainly brightened up our lives. She used to leave the lights on in the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, the hall. I remember Leanne once said while watching the girls on their tiptoes in the valley on TV, why don't they just get taller girls? Leanne really has got a warm heart, mind you. Mind you, you would do too if you drank as many WKD blues as she did. Well, here we are in the heart of Burns country. Birthplace of Bradley Burns. God was telling me last night his family are from Ayrshire, so they may well be descended from the great man himself. Is that right, God? So I think you should let Leanne know, teach Leanne know about him. Leanne once worked in the library, I don't think anyone knows this. One day a guy came in up to the counter and he said, Robert Burns, the full works. Leanne says, I'm sorry, Mr. Burns, I think you're in the wrong place. The massage parlour's next door. During one ceremony, I overheard a little girl say to her mum, Mummy, 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 why is the bride all dressed in white? Her mum smiled and replied, because white is the colour of happiness, and today is the happiest day of the bride's life. There was a pause and then the little girl piped up and said, Mummy, Mummy, why is the groom all dressed in black? Actually, you'll notice that the wedding today didn't take place in a church. Well, there's a reason for that. Simon and Leanne originally asked for the local minister if he would marry them. The minister told them, well, we'd be delighted to welcome you into our fold. All we ask is first that you abstain from sex for 2 weeks, and then come back and see us. 2 weeks later, they returned. How did it go? Asked the minister. Well, not very well, said Simon. What happened, said the minister? He said, well, Leanne was reaching up for a packet of cornflakes in the top shelf. The sight of her stretcher excited me so much, I just couldn't help myself. Right there and then. The minister says, well, I'm afraid you won't be welcome in our church. Simon says, that's all right, we're back from Tesco's as well. I remember last week I was a priest and a minister, when they brought out the drinks for the toast. The minister said, alcohol, lads, whiskey. But the priest replied, no alcohol for me. I'd rather go with a woman of ill repute. So the minister put his drink back and said, sorry, I didn't know it was a choice. Of course, not everyone can make it today. I have a note to read for you all. Hold on a second. To Simon, sorry we couldn't make it today, but we found it too emotional. Losing a special guy such as yourself. Hoping to see you again soon. And that's from all the girls at Silverham. Sure you see this inside? Simon has asked me not to mention all his old girlfriends. She's cut my speech. She's cut my speech by about 2 seconds. Of course, when Simon came into her life, I started to do a bit of research. I found out that Simon was a bit of a tennis player in his youth. He was once invited to play in the ATP tour. But he said, if that's all we're paying ATP, then they can forget it. Oh, something else here. Simon is caring. Simon is loving. Simon is funny. Simon is suave. And Simon is... Sorry, Simon. You're right. That's it. Just the same. I started researching online about things that happened on the day he was born. I spent a couple of hours and I came across some really great stuff. And I thought, I better stop watching this stuff for a go blind. I better go back and look for some stuff about Simon's birthday. 14th of November 1980, is that right, Simon?
Allegedly, yeah.
I tried to link it up to some major event, but nothing really came up. However, the nurses at Stop Hill Hospital still call it Ugly Baby Friday. I asked family and friends for some info about Simon. I found out from my research that at play school Simon was a bit different from all the 4-year-olds in his class. He was 9 at the time. Not a lot of people know this, but Simon is an avid reader. He has read all 45 Mr. Bean books cover to cover. I found out, he said to his friend, let's go and find Mr. Jelly, let's go and find Mr. Jelly, because he lived in the woods. So the two went off into the woods. And he searched and he searched, and after about 6 hours, he gave up. Simon was distraught, tears running down his face. His pal said, don't worry about it, Simon, you'll get married on Friday, it'll be fine. I phoned up his old school. I got to speak to his old teacher. I asked if he could look up his old report card, see if there was anything interesting in it. He read it out to me. Simon is an ideal pupil and excelled in most subjects. And I thought, oh, that's great. Then he said, sorry, let me put my glasses on. He says, Simon's an idol pupil, and he's been expelled from most subjects. I spoke to his PE teacher, who said Simon could have been a professional footballer if it wasn't for two things. His left foot and his right foot. He said, we tried him at left back, we tried him at right back, we tried him midfield and on the wing, and centre forward, but Simon was hopeless in all positions. But he said, he hopes Leanne has more luck with him on their wedding night. I noticed that Simon's friends all called him the blacksmith. The blacksmith, the blacksmith. Every time you talk to somebody, he's the blacksmith. That's one of why do you call him the blacksmith? He says, because every time it's his round, he makes a hole for the door. Simon, I thought I would finish by giving you some advice. Marriage requires a man to prepare for 4 types of rings. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, the suffer ring, and the enduring. Now, never go to bed in an argument. Always stay up all night and argue. The best way to remember your anniversary is to forget it once. Actually, no, I don't advise that one. Always remember these 3 little words. You're right, Leanne. And I always got on with your mother-in-law. Actually, Simon hasn't spoken to Carol for 6 months. It's not that he doesn't like her, he just doesn't like to interrupt her. As an insight about what married life is like, I'd like to tell you a story of an old couple who've been married for 40 years. He was very ill, but they didn't know what was wrong with him. So they took him to the doctors. The doctor examined him, but they couldn't find the problem, so he asked him to come back for further tests. So when he came back, they did all sorts of medical tests on him, as well as interviews with psychologists and psychiatrists. And then when the results came in, the man was too ill to attend the surgery, so his wife went alone. The doctor said, we think the problem is your husband is clinically depressed, and if something's not done, he will die in 6 months. He said to the wife, here's what you need to do. You need to make him breakfast in bed every morning and cook dinner on the table every night. You must let him watch whatever he wants to watch on the TV. He's in complete control of the TV. And if he's feeling a bit frisky, just do whatever he asks. Whatever he wants, just do it. And he says, whatever you do, do not ever moan or complain. Do all of these things and be fine. You may have completely recovered. So the woman goes home, husband says, what did the doctor say? And the wife says, you're going to die in 6 months. So, I would like to formally welcome Simon to the family. By the way, Simon, you don't have to call me sir anymore. Mr. Burke will be fine. Now, it's my distinct honour and privilege to propose a toast to my support act today, the newlyweds. So I invite you all to be upstanding and raise your glasses. And a toast to Leanne and Simon, the new Mr. and Mrs. Burke.